friends. It is Leah with Pinkfresh, and my backdrop looks a little bit different because I am coming to you from my in-laws' house in Texas. So might look a little bit different today. I'm hoping that the hotspot on my phone plays nice. So we're gonna try to keep it going and have a good time creating today. So I'm gonna give this a little bit of time to let people find us here. Hi, Jan, and hi, Debbie and Teresa. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you guys have all had a great couple of weeks. Live was canceled last week just because we've been prepping for an event and I had a lot on my plate. So I needed to focus on stuff for that event, but I'm happy to be back today. And I hope that my internet plays nice as we do this. Hi, Heather. We've got Heather joining on. Hi, Renee and Pam and Lori and Marie. I'm so glad you guys have joined us today, and Lynn. Jan, they're on order and they're making their way here, but we don't have a date on the jewels. Hi, Carol, two Carols and Donna. All right, so it looks like a lot of you guys have found us. As I just mentioned a minute ago, I am coming to you live from my in-laws' place in Texas. So, and I'm having to use the hotspot on my phone. So I hope that everything goes okay. But if there are a couple of bumps in the road with the internet, just bear with me. But here's hoping that for the next hour, everything just runs smoothly. Hi, Kelly and Melissa. Thanks for joining today. And Renee and Kinjal and Osaki. Super glad that you guys have joined me, and thank you for the compliment on my shirt. I appreciate that. It's hot and humid here in Texas, so trying to keep as cool as possible. Hi, Dee. So happy that you joined us today. Okay, so looks like we have plenty of people signed on. I'm sure more people will jump on as they find us, but let's go ahead and get started for today. So we're going to be creating a Slimline card using a couple of our previously released Slimline layering stencils that are really great for backgrounds. We're going to do a really cute mountain themed card that I'm excited to share with you guys today. So hi, Ryan from Arizona and Alicia. Glad you guys are joining me. If you hear some dogs barking, there's 3 of them here, so you might just have to bear with me a little bit. Sorry about that. Give me 1 second. I'm actually going to switch my video around and let it catch up. And I'm going to go calm some dogs down real quick. Hey guys, you need to stop. Stop. All right, well, that was a little bit of chaos there, wasn't it? Okay, so this is my We Are Memory Keepers glass mat. I brought it with me from home just so that I would have a place to create on. So, okay, hopefully that won't happen too many times more with these puppies, but you know, it is what it is. Okay, so like I mentioned, we're gonna create a Slimline card, and I went ahead and I pre-die cut my background panel using the slim stitched rectangles from our Essentials collection. So we base our Slimline dies off of 3 5/8 by 8 5/8, which is the technical Slimline card size. That is perfect for mounting on a 4x9 card, which is what I'm going to be doing today. But if you look, we have this nested frame in here, which is a little bit smaller. And that is perfect for those of you that prefer to do a 3.5 by 8.5 size Slimline card. So you get all of those different options there. So we have our cardstock panel, and we are going to use both the Mountainscape and the Slimline Layered Starburst stencils today. I just gotta do something real quick on, oh, no, that's right. Okay, I just had to make sure video setting was right. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so we have our panel here, and I'm gonna go ahead and I am going to tape this down to my desktop. Oh, Beth, I'm glad you love this set. These are some of my favorites. These are actually two sets that I have wanted to use together ever since they released, and I just haven't had a moment to do that. So I'm excited to be able to have the ability to do this, use these together. So I am going to be using these two sets together that I think it's going to turn out really cool. So we are going to start creating this Starburst backdrop first. However, I'm going to have to use the stencil number 1, which is that Mountainscape negative piece, so that the Starburst doesn't go in areas where I don't want it to. So I've pre-die cut this. I prefer to pre-die cut so that I have an easier time lining up the stencils. I always have a little bit of a hard time lining up the die after I use the or do the stenciling. So I like to die cut first and know that I am getting all of the ink blending that I want shown in there. So, but if you're good at lining up dies like that, then by all means, die cut afterwards. But I am definitely a die cut first when I'm wanting to use those great slimline die cuts. Oh, I'm glad you guys are excited about using this set together. I am too. I'm actually really excited about using it together. So I'm glad you guys are too. And I think it's going to turn out really cool. All right, so bear with me as I get through a little bit of painstaking taping here. But I think we'll get through the taping part and then this is going to be super fun. Okay. So I'm taping down on all 4 sides because when I'm using our slimline stencils, I just feel like it makes it a little bit more secure. Okay, so we've got this first, we've got stencil 1 from the Slimline Starburst and then stencil 1 from the mountains. And so I am gonna start with Lemon Whip and I'm going to blend from the mountains out. And I'm traveling, so I have just my ink cubes today. I would normally use my full-size ink pads, but I don't bring my full size with me when I am not at home. So hopefully this doesn't take too long. I've chosen yellow specifically because you get pretty good coverage quickly with yellow, even when you're using the little ink cubes. Hello from Oregon, looks like Penny, and hello from North Carolina, Barbara. Thanks for joining. Whoever said hello from sunny Dallas, I'm over in the Tyler area, which is just about an hour away from Dallas, I think. And we had huge storms yesterday and earlier today, but it is starting to look, it's starting to look nicer out. So we're happy about that. All right. So I am just ink blending the yellow. I'm ink blending it a little bit darker at towards the, the base of the mountains, and then trying to soften it a little bit as the rays get further out towards the edges of the Slimline panel. Pardon me, lost my train of thought there. And hopefully this turns out cool. I think it's going to. Okay, so we've got stencil number 1 pretty much done here. And I just want to check and make sure we're doing okay. Looks like we're doing well. Okay. So let's check out this first reveal. So it's going to be a little bit of work moving and removing stencils today, because I'm using multiple stencils at a time. So, but that first reveal kind of looks a little strange, but it's going to be very cool when all is said and done. I am going to go ahead and leave this stencil on here because I really like how this stencil looks when you layer them together and you just kind of add, I might have done, I actually think I started with stencil number 3 on this, the Starburst stencil. That's okay. It really doesn't matter what order you do them in, as long as you do them. So we're just going to move along and we're going to go to the next one, and then we'll do the next one after that. And I like to stack and layer them one on top of the other, just to give even more gradation to those layers, especially when I'm using the same color, because this whole thing is going to be yellow rays. So I like having the even more additional gradation between those colors. So you can certainly use them separately if you want to, but I am going to stack them together. So I'm going to just go ahead, I'm going to go back with the same color with Lemon Whip. So when you layer colors one on top of the other, they get darker. So I am going to use Lemon Whip again on this layer. Thanks, Laura. And once again, I am going a little darker at the base, blending it out towards the outer section of the Slimline panel. And I think this is going to turn out really cool. All right, it's kind of warm in here because it was super rainy earlier today, so of course now it's a little humid. Wish I would have turned a fan on myself, but I have to do that later. Oh, I'm glad you guys are liking this. Thanks, Beth. I agree. Definitely wasn't a mistake. More of just like I thought I grabbed stencil number 1, didn't, but not a big deal because this stencil works really well together no matter which layer you use. So it's gonna work no matter what. It's just gonna maybe look a little different. Okay, so let's get these off here. Okay, so let's take a quick peek. All right, so those are starting to look fun. Okay. And then let's put these back on here and grab the next stencil. Okay. Let me take a look because these let me take a look at what this will look like if I grab the next stencil and do it alone, which I think is what I'm going to do. Yep, to give it a little bit more gradation. So I'm gonna take tape off of these guys. And let's get this guy lined up here. And let's get the mountain scape over top. Oh yeah, this is gonna be pretty cool. Okay. Thank you, Patricia. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're gonna do lemon whip again, friends. The reason being is I used, you know, quite a few layers of the lemon whip on that. I'm gonna do this layer really, really light, as light as I possibly can, because I just want it to be more of like a soft sun ray in between those ones that are a little bit darker. Almost like those rays are, it's kind of like it's the ambiance coming off of those rays. So I just want to have a much lighter hand with this one. I am glad that Flick 3 Red, I'm glad you're getting to see these mountain stencils in action. I think they're really, it's a really beautiful set. Has a lot of different really ways that you can use it. And it pairs really well with a lot of our other products. So like I'm using it today with the Slim Starburst die. I think it would look really cool. I believe Heather actually created a sample. I believe it would look really cool with the, I'm losing my train of thought here, with the cloud stencil that we have. Since Heather did create a sample, I believe, with this and the cloud stencil, and it works really well. Also, a rainbow ink blended background, which I believe Laura Basson did in a video. There's lots of really fun ways to use this 3-piece stencil where you think that maybe it wouldn't have a whole lot of ways to use it, but I think that when you mix it with other products, it has a lot of really great options. Okay, so I'm gonna take a quick peek at how this looks. Oh, that is cool. Okay, you guys are, we're gonna do a big reveal on this because I think that this is turning out really, really cool. Hello, Shy or Shay, I'm not sure if I said that correctly, but hello, welcome. Okay, so let's check this out, friends, because I think that this turned out really, really cool. So look at that. Oh, it's just like sunlight is radiating from behind those mountains, and I think it's really, really cool. So we're gonna take this background a step further. I just haven't fully decided which of those starbursts I want to use for it. So we're gonna take a look at it now that I've got the ink blended part done. We're gonna take a look because I wanna add a little bit of glitter or glimmer paste to one of these sections. And I'm just not completely sure which one I want to do it yet. I think that one is maybe a little much. So we might be using, let me see this. I think stencil 2 is gonna be the winner, friends. So I think we're gonna go with stencil 2. So let's go ahead and get this guy taped down real quick. Thank you guys, I'm glad you're loving this. I was really worried that it wasn't gonna work out. But because I didn't practice it beforehand, I didn't test it first. So kind of came in this blind thinking, well, something's got to work. So I am thrilled that in the end, it did end up working a little bit. So I'm going to get any excess yellow off of this stencil that might be on it. I will clean it later with just a little bit of rubbing alcohol that I have in a bottle. And that cleans your stencils. It gets all of the ink off of your stencils that build up on them as you're ink blending, but it makes it so they dry immediately. And then you don't have to take them to your sink and wash them and dry them with a towel. They immediately dry. But you can do it that way if that's your preference. Okay. Oh, hi, Donna. I'm glad to see you here watching live for the first time. I'm glad you found us. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you do enjoy it. Okay, so I am going to put a little bit of Glimmer Paste on this part of this section of the stencil. So I just get a little bit of the paste on my tool here, and then we will take it and just rub it. I try to rub in the direction of the stencil to avoid getting, any of the Glimmer Paste from getting underneath the stencil and onto parts of the card that I don't want it to be on. This dries fairly quickly, but it does give you some time to clean it up, thin the layer down, because you don't want it to have this big, huge chunk of glitter on it. Because I just want a nice little thin layer of this glitter stuff, Glimmer Paste, to just highlight some of these beautiful rays. And like I mentioned, I just like to try to apply it in the direction of the stencil as much as possible. Might need a little bit more here. Thanks, guys. Glad you're liking this. Okay. I think that should be enough glitter paste. Okay. So with Glimmer Paste, I would normally take my stencil right to the sink and get it washed off. I'm not going to do that live, so it's going to probably take me a little bit of elbow grease to get this glitter paste cleaned off my stencil later. But if you were using it at home and not doing a live video with it, I would go ahead and get your stencil over to a sink and cleaned off. I am going to wipe it off a little bit in order to use that part, because I am going to have to use that stencil. Okay, so when I am using glitter paste over top of ink, I don't save the leftovers because they typically get discolored by the ink a little bit. So I will just wipe off. So I try not to use too much excess of the glitter paste, or whatever that stuff is called. So I try not to use too much excess of it, so that I'm not wasting too much. Get that little piece there rubbed off. Jennifer, this is tonic, I believe. And I'm not sure if they even carry this anymore, but I'm sure you can find it other places as well, or other brands. All right, just trying to get this little tool cleaned off here. All right, so this part's a little messy, so I am going to go ahead and take this stencil off for a minute, and I'm going to clean it up a little because I do still need to use the mountain stencil. And look at that. That is so cool. I don't know if you can see it as well in the video right now, but it did turn out really quite cool. All right, I'm gonna just get as much of the paste off my stencil here as I can, so that I don't have a huge glittery mess afterwards, like glittery stuck mess. So bear with me while I do a little bit of cleanup. And we're also going to let this dry a little bit before we move on to the next part of the ink blending. Okay, probably time to get some new tape here because these ones are pretty dirty. Hi, Daniel. I'm glad you could join us. No worries that you're late. Glad you made it. I know it's a little bit later over in Germany. Okay, I'm gonna actually set this aside for a little bit and let it dry while I'm cleaning off this mountain stencil here. Someone's asking where my blending brushes are from. Those are from Tailored Expression, or their Tailored Expression brand. There's lots of other brands of blending brushes out there. So you can really use any that you prefer. But those are the ones I'm using today. Okay. Yeah, there's a big chunk of glitter paste. I'm glad I saw that. Okay. So that's the one thing about doing a mixed media, type background live. You got to do a little cleanup. You got to let things dry a little bit. So kind of bear with me while we are in this little transition time here. Heather just mentioned that if she can't clean paste off right away, she sets a little bit of water aside to soak her stencils in. And that is actually a really fantastic idea. I hadn't thought of that, but that's a really great idea. And then you won't have to use as much elbow grease to get going. Trying to see if this is dry enough that I could gently put some the next set of layering stencils over top of it to get going on the next part here. Yes, it does. The glitter paste is a little sticky. I mean, of course it is. It has to be able to adhere and, stay in place once it's dry. So it is a little sticky, definitely. And I probably will take Heather's advice later on, and I will probably soak these in some warm soapy water when our live is over here, so that it's not so hard to get that paste off. All right. Okay, so I'm just kind of checking out comments right now. Just waiting a little bit for this glitter paste to dry. I see a couple places that's just not quite set up, and I don't want to put a big, large indentation in it. Okay. All right. I think we might be good. So it doesn't take super long to set up. All right. So let's go ahead and get this taped down again. Gotta find my pieces of tape. And we are going to get this stencil glued down again because we, oh no, I don't need that stencil anymore. Sorry about that. I need the next stencil. I am having a brain lapse moment here. So we need stencil number 2 here. And this is where I'm gonna need some new tape. I'm gonna go ahead and tape down with this painter's tape here. It'll be a little bit stronger than that Post-it tape, and I'm not running any risk of it being on my paper, so that's okay. Now that I have done this once, I'm feeling like I should have ink blended this part next, and then done the Glimmer Paste. That probably would have made like 1,000 times more sense. But first time creating this background and I didn't really think about that. And so this is what we got. So it's what we're going to do. And I actually think I am going to put this layer down a little bit lower, just because it's kind of interfering with some Glimmer Paste. And I would rather keep the Glimmer Paste intact as much as possible. Okay. So, side note, for anybody who wants to recreate this card, it would make more sense if you ink blend the whole thing first and then do the Glimmer Paste. Would have made like 1,000 times more sense. But when you don't do something first and you are kind of winging it, you learn things as you go. So, but that's okay. We are going to just go with it. Okay, so I am going to do this stencil in a couple of different shades here because I don't want these to act like snow. I want them to look a little bit more like grass because this is more of a summery themed card. So I'm going to mask off the lower section here because I'm going to ink blend it in a different color. So we are going to ink blend, right, Shay? We're going to ink blend just these mountains in the lightest shade of gray we have, which is Misty Coast. It's going to be really subtle. I didn't want to take too much away from that beautiful background that we've created. So this is going to just be really, really subtle underneath all of those beautiful rays. Okay. Okay. All right. That is probably enough because as I said, I wanted it to be super subtle. Definitely live and learn. It's how you learn, you know, and it shows that we, you know, even though this is my job, my career, we all make mistakes and learn as we go. And it's not a big deal. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink blend this lower section in Meadow, which is one of our greens. I am going to keep it, I'm going to keep it nice and light. I'm not going to go too dark. I just want it to be a good, just a little bit of green acting as a little bit of rolling hills here, I guess, with the mountains. That I think is probably good. Okay, so let's take this masking tape off. Somebody said something about crud cutter working to get that Glimmer Paste off, so that is kind of cool as well. So there is that second layer of the mountain. And we've got one final layer to do here, which is the stars and the trees. So I am not using the stars section this time around because it's not a nighttime sky. So I'm going to leave that. I am not going to do anything with that top section this time around. And we're just going to ink blend in those cute little evergreen trees down at the bottom. So I'm going to, oopsies, that did not work, did it? I'm just going to make sure they're nice and lined up with, because I did move that one stencil down a little bit. Okay. Over a little. the glitter kind of looks cool peeking through that moon right there. And then for this one, I'm going to ink the little trees up in evergreen. Evergreen is juicy because I don't use it very often. So these trees are going to probably ink up real fast. All right. Okay, let's get this wiped off so I don't get evergreen ink all over myself and make a mess. And here is what that adorable little scene looks like, all finished. I think it turned out super cute. It's super fun. I just think that this is a really adorable background. Okay, do a little cleanup here. Hi, Carissa. So glad that you were able to join us today. All right, let's get the tape off of the back of this. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate it. Okay. So up next, we need a sentiment for this card. I'm going to get a couple things pushed out of my way here. So it's a little bit different using your, or creating live when you're not in your usual space. But no worries, because we are going to make it work. Okay. So I've got my Misty here, and I am just going to get this guy set up in here. I'm trying to think of the best place to put the magnets. I might hold off on them real quick while I set up my sentiment here. Okay, so my sentiment is going to come from the Happy Birthday Sentiments stamp set. I don't know that it's in stock right this second, but Heather will link it up. And for sure, just sign up for an email notification. And I'm going to use the sentiment that says, keep shining, beautiful one. The world needs your light. So that is not, it's in a birthday stamp set, but it does, you know, it's not technically, it doesn't have to be a birthday set. Or excuse me, it doesn't have to be used for birthday if you don't want to. That's the beautiful thing about it. And I'm just going to stamp it here a little bit within those, you know, trees and hills. I just want to make sure it looks straight. And then I think I might be able to just put that right above it so this stays nice and in place. Okay, and that looks nice and straight. So we are good to go there. Okay, let's flip that Misty around, and I'm going to heat emboss it. So we're going to go ahead and get this nice and use my powder tool to get it prepped. And then we're going to stamp it a couple times and heat emboss it in some gold. I always like to stamp twice when I'm heat embossing, just because I'm a light stamper in general anyway. And I just want to make sure I have a good impression with my embossing ink. So I just like to stamp it twice and make sure I have a good impression. And that looks good. So we're gonna go ahead and move this aside here. I really hadn't brought a piece of paper over, so I need to improvise real quick. And actually, I just might go grab a piece. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. And then I'm just going to emboss it in a little bit of gold. And I'm sure Daniel is excited about the fact that I'm embossing in gold, since that is his favorite. Apparently that did not stand very well because my embossing ink is not, my embossing powder is not sticking very well. But we're just gonna go with it because it's already done. I've got a couple of places where it is sticking and I don't want that to heat set. All right. All right, I'm going to get my heat gun going. All right. Okay, so there's that. So we have our sentiment here. And now let's clean up before I'm gonna knock embossing powder everywhere. We know that much. Now it's basically just time to assemble this card. So we've got, I have just a 4x9 slimline card that I created from some light blue cardstock. And I am just going to add some foam tape to the back of my panel here. And you may have noticed that my panel is a little warped due to probably both the what's that? The Glimmer Paste and the heat embossing, but this will help straighten it out by adding the foam panel. I am going to start creating those full panels of foam that I create for my A2 size cards for Slimline. I just haven't had a moment lately to get those planned out and get the correct length of score tape done. So still using my 3M for now on Slimlines. I do love gold. You guys know that I use gold on quite a lot of my projects. Okay, this card is really close to finished, friends. Just gotta do a little bit of embellishing here. And then we'll call it good. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this guy mounted on our card base. I thought that the light blue card would really tie in and kind of act a little bit like sky, because I don't have sky in those in-betweens of the rays. So I thought that it would act a little bit like the sky, abstractly, of course, but so hopefully it kind of gives that fill to it. Okay, so there is our card. So let's get a little bit of embellishing done, and then we are done for the day. And I totally forgot to mention that we give away a $15 gift card code, but most of you guys know that, and you know, you've been hanging out and commenting along, and Heather will pick that winner at the end of the show. Beth whispering so Daniel doesn't hear, I like silver too. I actually don't use silver either, so I kind of get that. Okay, so let's grab out yellow jewels, and I think I want to tie in that light blue background as well. So let's see here. Where do I want to put these? I think we're going to kind of flank the sentiment here. Okay, so let's kind of just add these. Ooh, a couple spaces here. Maybe put this guy over here. Okay. All right, I think that's good. All right, I think that's good enough there. All right. I'm going to put those away and let's get these guys glued down. Thank you, Megan. I appreciate it. Hi, Alma. Glad you could join us today. Okay. Okay. And that is my card for today. It's quite simple, but really fun. It's a great way to use some of our stencils together. So I hope that you enjoyed it. Learn from my mistake about doing all of the ink blending first before you do the glitter paste. So that is everything that I have for you today, guys. So I am going to go ahead and get this camera flipped around if I can find. I have literally made like the hugest mess over here. Definitely different not crafting in your own space. But thank you guys. I'm going to switch this camera around real quick. All right, and we will wait for Heather to announce the winner of the $15 gift card code for the day. And then you guys can get on to your own the rest of your day. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed the card today. I'm glad I got to hang out with you for the hour. I missed you guys last week. So while we're waiting, Heather will be live on Thursday on Facebook. So we hope you'll join us there. And then we have Craft Hour on Saturday with the lovely Mr. Jeff Lindbergh and a guest from our team. So we'll just let you guys ponder on who that might be this time around, unless somebody mentioned it in the comments and I missed it. Okay, it looks like congratulations are in order for Megan Francis. You have won today's $15 gift card code. Congratulations. You'll just want to email me, Leah, at pinkfreshstudio.com to claim your prize. My name is just L-E-A. There is no H on the end of it, so make sure that you check that spelling. And give me just a couple, 2 to 3 business days to reply, because I do get a lot of emails. So other than that, friends, I hope that you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday. And we will see you on Thursday with Heather and Facebook Live. All right, friends, have a great rest of your day.